thank you guys so much for tuning back into my channel for today. So I know, let me just go ahead and state the obvious. I've been MIA. So I graduated college. So I'm done my undergraduate career. And yeah, so I'll be more consistent with videos and stuff. But today I'm back with a testimony time video, and this is going to be testimony time number two. Throw your twos up. Throw your twos up. Throw your twos up. Okay, let me stop playing. I need to get to the point. So back in the month of March, the Lord told me to leave my job. And I know you guys are probably thinking, well, like, okay, Cynthia, like, I've heard this story thousands of times again or whatever, but this is not just a regular old story. Just get comfortable. Just give me a second. Let me explain myself. So back in 2016, I applied for this job to help out with bills and stuff. And from the very beginning, the Lord told me I was not going to be at this particular job for a long time. So I was like, okay, Lord, you know, I had that in mind all along. And so coming over into this year, you know, as I was journaling, you know, the Lord kept speaking through me as I was journaling, like, yeah, your job, your time at this job is up very soon. It's going to be up very soon. So I had it in the back of my mind. And so one day I was getting ready to go to work. Back in March, the Lord was like, yeah, because I had in mind the month the Lord wanted me to leave, but the Lord was just like, as I was getting dressed that day, he was like, yeah, your time is going to be way before that month comes around, so just keep that in mind. And I'm just like, Lord, what? Like, but I thought it was going to be this month, and he was like, no, it's quicker than you think. So I get to work or whatever, and my manager does something that just completely throws me off and blows me or whatever, and I'm just like, I can't stay here. I cannot keep working here or whatever. I cannot keep working here. I need to leave or whatever. And so that day goes, and then the following day comes, and then something else happens. Something else crazy happens at work, and I'm just saying, oh my gosh, like, I really needed to stay these last few months so I can at least, you know, pay the rest of these bills. And the Lord was like, no, today is going to be your last day. And I'm like, but like, I still have like a few months of school left, like a month and some change left of school. I still have bills I got to pay. You know, I still have things I have to do. Lord, this is so inconvenient. And he was like, no, you need to leave. And he made it in such a way that it was uncomfortable for me to even work there. Like, I would go to work and I just would not feel at peace whatsoever. It'll be very, very hard for me to go to work. People I worked with were amazing and stuff like that. But like, he just made it in such a way that it was time for me to leave. Because of that prior interaction that I had with the Lord and that consultation, I was like, okay, well, it's my time. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to question it. So I go to work that day that the Lord told me was going to be my last day, and I tell my manager that just so happened to be the day that we were doing like a employee evaluation or whatever. And so she gave me my evaluation, and you know, overall I think I did above average. I did very good. You know, I had a few flaws here and there. And at the end of the evaluation, I was like, yeah, so, actually, I think I told her prior to the evaluation, but anyway, so I told her, and she was just like, oh my gosh, no, like, she wanted me to stay. She was like, can you please just stay for like 2 more months, please, or whatever. And I had to go. Like, it was even to a point where she was like, we were even considering training you as like, you know, a manager. And that's how the devil will get you, because like, really, I had my mind made up. The Lord told me what the enemy did is he used a tactic of promotion to try and keep me there, but still I was like, no, it's okay, you know. And you know, as she asked for an explanation, you know, I didn't want to use what had happened between us as an excuse, because of course, like, I'm not going to run away from a job because of a bad day with a manager, like, never. And so I was just like, you know, it's life, you know, things happen, you know. I just made it sound very, very general, which it was. And, you know, she's not a believer. And so for me to say, like, you know, God is leading me away, or God told me something, like, you know, the Bible says that when you're not born of the Spirit, you cannot comprehend the things of the Spirit. So like, she wasn't going to be able to understand it anyway. And so the best possible practical way that I was going to be able to explain it to her was that, you know, life happens, and, you know, things are just changing, and, you know, it's just that time, pretty much. And so I told her, you know, everything was good. We're on good terms. Everything was good, right? So I leave the job or whatever. 2 weeks after, I believe I put in my 2 weeks notice on March 19th. 2 weeks after that day was April 1st. And I'm thinking, okay, Lord, well, you know, April 1st is my last day of work. You know, it's a new month, it's a new season. What exactly are you trying to teach me? And so I was good for those few weeks because I was still getting a check. You know, when you put in your 2 weeks, you still get like at least 1 or 2 checks after that. So I was so good. But then, you know, after those checks started to dry out, you know, the bills were calling my name. I mean, I was getting emails like, what's going on? Your car insurance, you're this, you're that, you're whatever. And I'm just like, okay, Lord, what's going on? Like, I had so much faith in you that you were going to provide something. Like, you told me to leave. And the Lord, the way he speaks to me, like, I can't exactly explain the way he ministers to me and how he speaks to me. I just know. Even like through my church family, somebody posted something. I mean, it was just so right on. And I'm just like, yeah, this is God. This is God all the way. So, weeks went by and, you know, nothing was coming up, nothing was happening. I'm like, Lord, you know, my money's running out. What do I do? And I'm just like livid. I'm angry with the Lord. I'm upset. I'm like, why did you have me out here looking dumb? I left this job. I still had like a month left of school. Graduation's coming up. How am I going to, you know, buy some nice bundles? How am I going to get my nails done? Like my graduation dress? Like, Lord, what's going on? This is so inconvenient. Like, what is going on? And so, throughout that whole time, the Lord was quiet for like 2-3 weeks. I'm like, what is going, like, what are you up there doing? Like, what are you up there doing? I was just blown. So, finally, I'm just going to fast forward. So there came a point where I just started like applying this stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not hearing from the Lord. I don't know what to do. So I just started applying to jobs. I mean, I was thinking of going to the pawn shop one day because I'm like, can I just pawn something? Because it was literally to the point where I literally had no money, like at all. I had nothing to my name. Like I had nothing. And there was a point where I applied for this job. I got an interview, but I couldn't even drive to the interview because the interview was like about 30 minutes away from where I lived at the time. And I was like, well, if I drive all the way there, all my gas is going to be gone. And then what? And what if I don't get the job? So I didn't even go. So it was really that bad. So the Lord took me through a season of like, Cynthia, you need to have faith in me. Like you, excuse me, you were lacking faith. And I took you through this season. I placed you in this point in your life because I really wanted you to rely on me. You were lacking that because I've never really been out of work. I've always been working. I've always had some type of money to my name. I've never really asked, right? And so and I say that with all humility, by the way. Like the Lord has always just provided for me. So I've never really had to like, I've never been through that. Like what? So long story short, I just started getting fed up. Mind you, I was still going to my internship, still going to class, still just living life. I just did not have money. So what happened? So I'd be in my room like crying, like literally angry, screaming at the Lord, like, what are you doing? You have me out here looking dumb. Like I'm telling people the Lord told me to leave my job and I'm literally without nothing. Like I have nothing or whatever. And so, I mean, I was facing persecution even from family members. Like, well, maybe this wasn't the time. You shouldn't have left, da 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 da. And I was just like, Lord, I was just fed up and I was crying, you know, but I was also in a place where I didn't want to be defined by what I was going through. Like, yes, my account's at 0, but I did not want to answer to that. I did not want to claim that. Because according to the scripture, it says that life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so I didn't want to say, oh, I'm broke or oh, I'm this. I wanted to still look up to par, feel up to par. And so I would still, you know, put on my makeup, you know, my minimal makeup. I would still do the best I can with my outfit. I would still, you know, just look good. I didn't want to, you know, just fall under the cracks, you know, of society and say, well, I'm not working, so let me just look anyhow or feel anyhow. No. So the Lord actually revealed to somebody in my church what I was going through. He revealed it to her, but he didn't reveal the whole complete thing. I mean, he revealed it to her in a dream, and we know that dreams they require a lot of interpretations. The Lord didn't give it to her like, you know, verbatim what I was going through. He gave it to her in symbols and different things, so she wasn't really sure. And so that prompted her to text me. So when she texted me, I was kind of just casual and I was like, I'm just making it, da 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 da. I didn't quite say what I was going through. And it's funny because I actually knew that's the reason she was texting me, because, you know, she's a woman of God and she's always in her word and she hears from the Lord. So I knew exactly that's why she was texting me, but I didn't want to come out and say it just yet. Then, you know, a few days later, I hit her up was like, hey girl, this is what I'm going through. And she was like, yo, the Lord revealed to me that that was what you were going through, that you were going through something crazy. And you still put on kind of like a facade or like a mask and acted as though everything was okay. And that's exactly what was going on, because I still put on my makeup. I still, you know, slayed my hair. I still did whatever so I can feel good. And I didn't want to be a victim to my circumstances, pretty much. So, you know, the Lord used her to... she sent me money, and then I also reached out to people that I knew were in a position to provide for me, to support me financially, and also through prayer. So I reached out to one of my friends, Cindy, and she blessed me with money as well, and I was able to use that to pay my part of the rent, you know, my remaining balance of my rent. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then so I had like another huge chunk of money. I had to pay my car insurance, I had to pay my Comcast, BGE, water, insurance for the house, you name it. It was just a lot. So I was still believing the Lord, you know. And so after that, I went to sleep, and then I woke up with the word, and the word was that you're going to receive unusual assistance. And I'm like, okay, like, Lord, you were quiet this whole entire time, like, why now? So I go to church that following day, and then somebody from church comes up to me and is like, yeah, Cynthia, you know, I heard what was going on. Don't worry, the Lord will provide. We'll see what we can do. And I hadn't heard back from that person for like a few days. So I was like, okay, like I was losing hope, like what the heck? But I was still like, it's okay, like, you know, it's okay, still believe in God. So a few days later, you know, the first person who initially texted me that the Lord had revealed to her what I was going through, she texted me like, how much do you still need for your bills? And that's when I let her know the amount. She said, okay, see what we can do. Long story short, she was able to raise money through people from the church, from my church, and they literally every single thing that I need, every single bill, I'm talking about everything that I needed, they raised money, and she sent it over to me, and like it was just beautiful. And I was able to pay all of my bills, literally, even down to my nails, like, y'all, because I needed my nails done for graduation. Like, I'm a girl, like, you know. So you know, there's one of my friends that, you know, were really supportive and was just like, whatever you need, I got you, please reach out to me. So I reached out to her like, hey girl, like I actually need money for my nails, to get my nails done or whatever. And she sent me money for my, like literally everything that I needed, down to my dress. The Lord just sent people to provide. Honestly, if you guys didn't get anything out of this video, what I do want you to get is just say yes to the Lord. Like if he tells you to do something, if he tells you to make a radical decision, don't try to weigh it out, because it's 9 times out of 10 it's not going to make sense. He's almost never going to give you the steps, because if he does, you're not going to take that move, you're not going to make that radical step. If the Lord had told me that I would literally be like down to my last and for weeks and I'd be struggling, I would have probably just been like, Lord, I'm not leaving my job, no way, like I need this money. But like just take that step of faith, just take that leap of faith. There's so many people in the Word of God that took leaps of faith. I mean, if you read, let me see, I think it's Hebrews chapter 11 verse 4. By faith Abel offered God a better sacrifice than Cain did. By faith he was commended as a righteous man. When God spoke well of his offerings, and by faith he still speaks even though he is dead. Verse 5, by faith Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. Verse 7, by faith Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear built an ark to save his family. By faith, verse 8, by faith Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went. Right? So many other stories of people in the Bible who did things by faith. And so just when the Lord tells you something, and make sure it's the Lord. I'm telling you, I knew for a fact it was the Lord, because like I said, if it was up to me, like carnally, like me trying to reason it logically, there was no way I would have done that. I would have never put myself through that type of stress or whatever. What are you doing? I would never put myself through that type of stress, or, you know, I just would never do that ever again in my life. But it was definitely God the whole entire way. And I really encourage you guys, if God is leading you to a decision, if he's telling you to do something and, you know, things are not adding up and it doesn't look right, if you know for a fact it's God, I can't tell you how God speaks to you. I can only, like, I know how God speaks to me. So if you know that that way that you know how God speaks to you. If he's speaking to you about something, he's telling you to make a radical decision, he's telling you to move somewhere, he's telling you to leave a job, he's telling you to do something that's not common or normal, do it by faith and just trust in him. I'm not saying that it was ever easy for me. No, like I was angry at God. I was upset. Like, why do you have me out here embarrassed? Like, I'm literally telling people that, you know, you told me to leave my job and I'm without money. Like, what's going on? Like, hello, can you call me back? So so that's pretty much my testimony of how the Lord told me to leave my job and how he provided for me every step of the way. And now I can honestly say that, you know, I've grown. Man, I've grown in faith, and I honestly believe without that season I would not have learned that, or would not have been able to experience that side of God and that nature of God. So I love you guys, and again, I graduated, so I'll be more consistent. I'll be back with more videos very soon. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and see you next time. Want to say bye, Lucky? He says bye.
You better not put that part in there either.
Too late.